Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for watching those ads. We are still waiting, so I'm not even quite sure why I came back. But
Yeah.
hopefully something will open up soon. I mean, there are a ton of games like
Yeah.
happening,
So,
losers bracket too.
so what's happening is we're gonna try and avoid the losers bracket for a little bit, guys. And it's not because of ego or anything. Just this match is gonna be really awkwardly spaced out and really awkwardly timed because they are dependent on, of course, the winners bracket, which is what we're gonna try and follow. Lots of really good matches on deck. Still, the problem is a lot of them are missing opponents. So if you type !brackets in chat and join us live, you'll see like, oh, Snoot's waiting for an opponent, Bly's waiting for an opponent, Mana's waiting for an opponent, Nurture is waiting for an opponent. So we have a lot of really good games like on the verge of happening, but not quite happening yet. So I do want to mention that if you guys are really antsy, Take TV, as it turns out, are the ones casting Lambo versus um,
Marine Lord.
Marine Lord. That's going to be a pretty good ZvT, and I would recommend watching that if you're really, really antsy. But for us, we're looking at casting Mana or Snoot's next match, most likely.
Cool. Team Liquid
Wait,
guys.
did you not use the new break screen I sent you?
Oh yeah, I forgot to put it on. I can put it on my scene now.
For those who don't
Hold
know, like
on.
I'm watching because I'm still doing the ads or whatever, and I see my fucking stupid face with the explosion pop up. God damn it, Zombie Girl.
Don't worry about it. Uh-oh. Hold on. I can fix this. Take a glorious look at the screen again.
Dear God, Rifkin, look out! There's an explosion behind you. Where? I
Oh no! Watch
feel
out!
like I feel like you wouldn't need some. That's one of those few things you wouldn't need somebody to tell you about. You'd be like, "Oh, there's an explosion behind me." Fuck. Like you would just know about the explosion.
Yeah. It's a complete surprise.
All right, so
Drag it. There we go. See if it works. Oh,
we
it's
are
not big enough.
okay. Well, while she's futzing around, guys, we are
There we
gonna
go.
basically grab whoever's available first. Again, like, uh, some of these are gonna be ZVZ, and I'm actually very intentionally going to ignore those for now because I'm looking for some of them later. But that being said, again, like if it's Tarantius advancing Inertio, that'll be an interesting game. I'm really sad we can't see Sordo versus Botvinnik right now, actually. But even below that, Happy winning to move against Revolver potentially. There's a lot of really very good matchups like leading into the next 3 rounds. So basically, once we get casting, we'll stay on track for a little bit. Now the argument could be made like, why don't you guys just follow Showtime? You just cast him. He's playing Insane, and Insane is a pretty good Terran, and I won't take that away from him. But we do want to grab some of the crowd favorites with this as well, because I don't want to miss out on casting some of the Liquid Boys, for example.
Uh-huh. Right, right. That does mean we're waiting for a little while though. So tell me about your day. It's about
No,
4 a.m., 4:30. So
no.
your day's going pretty well. Yes.
Actually, I would like to talk about the community update thing again some more though. So the topic that we had brought up earlier was obviously New Gettysburg and the map, and that's kind of like,
Uh-huh.
okay, we got to see their thoughts on bringing that forward. Uh, but I mean, for me, the thing I really took away from that was again like this really strange emphasis towards Korea, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this.
So I must what in particular about the community update mentioned Korea?
Well, specifically tailoring 4 of the maps going forward to match
Working with
Kespa's
Kespa.
map pool.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I just glossed over it. Um, well, I don't know about like the maps because typically the for no
Well,
reason the
actually,
Korean.
wait. Before we go into just to fully clarify for everyone what we're talking about, it's the most recent community update. You can find the link for it. But what they said in the post was basically for the maps ladder going forward, they want to be able to integrate maps in the ladder so that Koreans can practice on them again. Because Kespa is intentionally using maps that aren't on the ladder, and that's what's kind of driven the idea to bring back King Sejong into the map pool, etc.
Right. So I don't like for whatever reason, even though Korea seems to be the more like rigid like don't do anything out of line type of thing because of Kespa mostly. They have had the better, more like more experimental maps. They're actually going outside of the ladder and whatnot. So
Rack
in
Shear, for
this
example, Sky Shield is
right in this
another.
particular case, like I don't really mind that they're working with Korea slash Kespa for this, but in general, whenever they do look towards, because I'm thinking more towards the other feedback, which is like Koreans are saying that Zerg's really tough.
That's another can of worms, but
But it's the one that I guess I'm the more interested in is just that I don't know, like, you know me, like, I should be, like, totally on board with, like, yeah, the Koreans should be the only people we listen to, but I'm really not. Like, as much as I love watching the Korean scene and paying attention to it, and, like, all my favorite players are mostly Korean, they're mostly Korean Terran,
Well,
so...
so here's like I'm talking about this in a negative light. Let's talk about the positives for a second, right? Like, if the ladder pool matches the Koreans and the Korean games that they're watching, then suddenly players can start copying builds again and trying to emulate their favorite Korean player,
Mhm.
and that's not a bad thing. There's no way that can be possibly viewed as a bad thing. So like, there's
Yeah.
not all negatives with this, but again, like the topic you're discussing, where I really don't feel Zerg is nearly as out of check as Korea might think it is, or this, that, and the other. Like, I am worried that still you've done, like, we see Blizzard very distinctively do this thing where they cut Korea out from so much of the world, and they're not allowed to fly to foreign events. It's difficult for this, that, and the other. And then you still cater to them. I feel like you can't have it both ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know exactly what you mean. I don't know if they're... Luckily, since David Kim has started to actually explain his thoughts in these community updates, he's starting to put in words like, we're not sure, or you guys tell us, and stuff like that. I'm not so worried that they're actually, like, catering too much. I think the maps are fine. If they really start, like, buffing Zerg, I suppose it would be buffing Zerg or nerfing the other units, then that's where I'm just like, I don't know. I really don't. We watch so many Zergs, and we're probably biased, weekend tournaments are
We
different than GSL tournaments and blah blah blah. But there's really not. It's not universal anymore. Legacy of the Void with this split of WCS is just I've never been so confused as to the balance of X or Y. Like, is it balanced? Is it not balanced? And okay, if it isn't balanced, is it only in the regions that it isn't balanced? Like, usually if it was imbalanced or not, it was universal with slight discrepancies. But I feel like in right now, like, the discrepancies are huge between the regions, and I don't know
yeah.
how you balance that in the game. I feel like there isn't a way, or you're just gonna make Europeans like Zerg stronger, for instance.
Yeah, don't
So
give them 4 injects or 4 larvas. That's all.
yeah, that's all we're asking for. So actually, I think the way you said it the best sums it up, though. Like, unfortunately, I think Korean Zerg are just gonna have to. I don't know. They're to do something. Like, they're. I really don't think that Zerg is
They
gonna
gotta
should
get
buffed.
good. They gotta get good.
Yeah, foreigner Terrans have had to get good. That was their only solution for 6 years. It's time for some revenge. It's time to turn the tables. We're back to the point, by the way, where Terrans are like, help us, please.
Ah,
We're
Snute finally.
foreigners. Snoot's going up against Strange, which is not unexpected. Strange was up against some guy named Neddy.
Yeah, just checking with Snute. Make sure it's cool. We cast. Snoot's usually pretty cool about this stuff. Just gonna double check though to be safe. WZvP, so just more and more ZvP here on the channel. If you got some Terrans at some point.
Oh well. Okay, so I guess we're waiting those vetoes. So.
Another thing we can talk about while we're waiting. Do we want to give people some lowdown on some of the ting groups that we have?
Oh, sure, if you want to.
Okay, so we have. Okay, he says yeah, no problem. Cool. Do we want to try hosting with WCS mod, or do you want to just let them host?
Oh, that's right. We couldn't. Yeah, just let them host. Whatever.
Okay. Snute versus Strange. Full cast. Invite when ready, please. So we can't give you guys everything because not all the groups have actually been finalized. Like, we're still waiting about 3 or 4 people to respond to their invites. Plus, the North American groups are the qualifier has to still play through. But I figure we can tease them with the group 2 of the Koreans. Do you want to do that, or shall I?
I honestly don't remember, and the Google Doc isn't in.
Okay, well, we were kind of teasing people about invites yesterday, and people were guessing, like, is he talking about Zest? Is he talking about Polt? Like, who's this Korean guy he's referring to? And for those who don't know, SOS has actually accepted our invite. Well, he didn't play in the qualifiers this season. He did last season, has expressed interest. And the only stipulation is we have to make sure we work with him to make sure he never has any conflicts with his Korean stuff, which is totally understandable, not a problem for us to do. So was really happy he accepted the invite. He played some really bad but kind of fun games during the qualifiers, so I'm hoping to see those again. And the other one being Soulkey. So group 2 for the Korean group. This has not been posted anywhere. This is the first time it's being mentioned publicly. Shout out to Lee Oman for the 24-month resub. 2 years, hot damn. I said that bit without enthusiasm. Let me go back and do it again. 2 years, dude. Hot damn. Anyways, Keen, Patience, Soul Key, and SOS. That's group 2 for Korea. When your Korean group's like on point.
Dang. Yeah, it's a fun one. SOS, if you guys don't remember, and I'd be surprised if you did, he was like cannon rushing and like doing stupid stuff in Legacy of the Void. It was just as early this year. So he was really fun to watch. And at this point, I suppose with Jaedong basically being retired, and they invited me. Oh, you invited me. I don't have to be angry at SOS anymore. I don't hold any grudges. So.
Conscience has been cleared.
Yep. I just don't know who I'm going to cheer for anymore with Jaedong gone, you know? Like, he was the guy that if he wasn't in the tournament, I was like, why am I even watching this tournament? Bye.
You know who you can cheer for?
Who?
Lynx or Too Easy.
Oh, shit. Those are Overwatch players, if you guys don't know.
All right, well, we're going to get in the game. I got to go make a tweet about this, so I'll leave the intros both to you, madam.
Okay. In the bottom right, on Frozen Temple, as the red Zerg, he is Team Liquid's Snute. In the top left, as the blue Protoss, he is Cascade's Strange, most well known for his almost win against Pult.
Yeah, it's funny because I guess even if Strange had beaten Pult, I feel like that would have been a lot less memorable. Like there's moments that are Strange like that, and no pun intended, where if Strange were to beat Pult, he wouldn't become the new Foreign Hope. He probably still would have gone on and lost DreamHack, arguably, right? Because I mean, look at the way the final played out. But the fact that he didn't beat him and the fact that it became so controversial did two really big things. And one was like obviously way more memorable for that point, that game. But secondly, if you guys haven't seen, there's actually language and rules that have been written into this Valencia DreamHack that says like admins basically have control over like stalemate timers, and like if that shit happens again, they get to make the decision type thing.
Okay.
That's a loose interpretation. I'm not reading it word for word because I glanced over it this morning, but I just, again, like, it sucks that it happened, but he made sure it'll never happen again.
I guess not too surprised that they chose, because they either could say, look, this is part of StarCraft 2, and you're going to have to deal with the draw timer, and Pope played to his advantages, or what apparently they did, which is say, like, okay, admins have final say, because there was a bit of a split. I think more pro gamers were saying admins should decide in a big tournament like that, and more spectators were kind of like, you know, Pope played to the game, so congratulations to him.
Well, I think there's also different ways that gets played if there are rules and limitations set ahead of time, right? Like, Polt wasn't breaking any rules, and he's also not a rule breaker in the first place. Like, I don't think if there's a rule that said, hey, you can't be a dick and float your barracks, I don't think he ever would in the first place.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So now I didn't even know they changed it. So hopefully, I mean, that's probably never going to happen again, but hopefully if it does, now they actually have an idea as to how to play it, as opposed to, for instance, waiting out the draw time and being like, huh, I saw Polt do it, so maybe I can do it, and then bam, admin's actually making a final decision, you didn't know. I mean, really, pro gamers usually don't look at the rules, to be honest, especially if they figure they know the tournament, because, you know, these tournaments have been happening for a very long time, so I wonder how many other people noticed, like you did. Good job reading the rules, Rifkin.
Well, I remember we go over the rules last time too. There's like a lot of really stupid stuff that was like players must be blue and red or the game will be replayed and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, that never gets to hear too. No one ever enforces
right? You're not supposed to use skins. That's one of the big ones, but people, some people do. Not as much as before, I suppose. Like, because I hated the Ling skin. When it was first introduced and I was playing like ZvZ, I was like, these Lings look like there's 20 of them instead of 10. Sucks. People have stopped. And no one ever used the Overlord skin because it looks stupid. It looks like he has a bad toupee.
Oh man, what if they put like a Trump skin in?
Shut up. Stop right there.
Thank you very much. I need somebody with a human touch.
Space goes
Thank
fast.
you. Always on the run, gotta slow it down, baby, gotta have some fun.
I'm surprised you even remember the lyrics to that song. It's probably not their most popular song.
I'm trying to do bets because our mods are asleep. Forgive me.
Okay, now he's really going to the forest, guys. Say bye-bye. Oh, you can get stuck on that? A little bit, at least.
Yeah, we've actually seen quite a few Vikings and Warp Prisms get stuck on that. There was gosh, I wish I could remember who it was. Someone had rallied a Warp Prism up there and it just got stuck there for like a minute now.
Snute.
Again. Okay, so Baneling Nest coming down is kind of a big detail, but at the same time, Snute is... Okay, this is the thing to say about Snute. Blanket, obvious, like, just common cast. They say, Snute's a good player, Snute can play a lot of builds, blah, 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 blah. But Snute does not typically do a lot of all-in builds. Not often, at least. And for me, Snute, in all matchups, especially ZvT, more than this matchup even, likes to play macro. So I see a Baneling Nest come down like this out of Snute. I see 14 Banelings on the way. And to me, like, this immediately shouts at defensive. And maybe that's what Strange reads it as, too, where he'd even scout it. But I actually don't think Snute's going to play defensive with this. I think Snute's going to go balls to the walls across the map with this.
So I think he, you know, of course, most people open with the depths in the first place, but confirming that with, like, seeing the army, I think it was there, and, like, the Twilight Council, there's the army, there's the adept. So the thing is that this can first be defensive if they are trying to hit you with a Resonating Glaives attack, and then you're just going to get destroyed, and then the counterattack is going to be basically, like, you can't hold it if all your adepts just run into the Banelings on the attack. So Strange, luckily, he saw the Banelings, he was like, no thank you, I'm going to go back home, at least give myself a chance to spread and defend and use force fields and photon overcharges, but... Like, this attack is happening right now. I'm sure the Banelings have to waddle across, but it's not that big of a map. The Photon Overcharge is not on the ramp. Force fields are, though.
Force fields.
There you go. That's a great idea. So, unfortunately, Snute, if he has to go all the way around with the Banelings, then that's going to take quite a while, and he might just have to. Actually, starting to drone. He did cut drones for a very long time to do this. Like, the first indication was just how low his saturation was at his third base, so Strange saw that, but, you know, he also saw the Banelings. And having to just macro out of this is not, like, it's not like he's going to lose the game, but I do not think it is ideal. At least some pressure was intended to be on this third base, whether it was pulling the probes, or killing an army, or ideally both, and winning the game. This split could be tricky. Let's see if these go into the natural or just try and surround the army.
Well, third base got ducked into already. Pulled back out of that, and that gave him the opportunity to try and run in. Unfortunately, he's going to get caught with some force fields by the looks of it, and he's going to try and meet up with the rest of his army, but can't even do that, so slams into a wall. Baneling's going to come in over here, take out that pylon immediately, but got to pull back off this, and Snute is not a good spot. His upgrades have only, like, recently begun. He's working off of trying to get that fourth base down. The layer starts up. The gases are awkward. They're taking more the third than anywhere else. But the nice thing, like, this is the plus, right? With everything he has that he was ready to attack with, he actually has a really solid defense if Strange were to come attack him. But for Snute's sake, he really got 0 damage done. In fact, what even died? A total of 3 probes and 1 pylon. That's what Snute got for his troubles. And so far, not worth it.
Yeah. As you said, though, he did only use the Lings, only lost 3 Banelings on that, so he has a defensive force, which is the scariest thing. Like, what if he used all the Banelings, barely didn't kill the Nexus? Then he's maybe in trouble to a counterattack, but it shouldn't be at that point yet. In terms of the late game, though, I think Snute's off to a worse start. We'll see if he can make up for it. He's got a 4th base. He's not at a really ideal drone count, though, to even saturate it, so still a very worrying game. And he really is, like, I mean, despite having an upgrade in a layered, it still feels all in. He's not advancing his tech beyond centrifugal hooks and, you know, a single upgrade, so we'll see. I mean, if Strange pushes into this, right, and his force fields are off, suddenly Snute's back in this game. But if he pushes into this and his force fields are great, oh, maybe not force fields, drop overlords, then Snute might just straight up lose the game right here, right now. But these drop overloads could be a big surprise. This Phoenix, luckily, is going to scout them, at least know the intention. At this point, Strange could just back off.
This is going to be really tricky to pull off. It's going to be so sick to actually unload the Banelings directly into the heart of the sentries. I mean, they're going to be clumped up. That's the point of them, but there's going to be stalkers possibly shooting this out of the sky. Snute's got to be very careful. The Spine Crawler is going down here in just a moment's time, hoping to distract. We got the Overlords coming with the drops. Force field's going down as he pulls back,
Jesus.
but Strange is getting annihilated. Snoop drops from above.
Oh
yes,
my good God. I really...
Around.
I mean,
Well done.
Well done, yeah. I could kind of see why Strange thought he had a chance.
Look at the counterattack. There's
Oh, dear
no way
God.
14 army supply holds up against this.
Dear God. Because it was mostly Blink Stalkers, and you hope that you're going to be able to get a little bit of a split maybe with the Blink Stalkers, but I just think he should have backed off. He killed a 4th base, he could have backed off, he could have waited until he had, like, maybe a couple more Mortals, but, you know, definitely more Archons, something like that, and instead he just got completely surrounded. He couldn't even split with the Blink Stalkers. Didn't even try to get Blink out of it, and this is just, this really swayed back in his Snute's favor. Dang.
By the way, just noting really quick, Emil is confirmed casting Mana versus Shadowne, for those who want to go watch that. Since I know we had people wondering where these matches are going down. We have no Team Liquid, but we'll try to guide you guys around best we can.
Yeah. We did have a War Prism, I think, made for the intention of attacking, but of course, like, his attack failed before it could really help. So now it's just going to be used to harass, which is fine. He is... Like, he was at 16 army supply. It looked desperate, but very, very quickly he's back up to only 20 supply down, which, you know, again, Protosses are very used to being at. That's not a bad point. Snutes, despite having an overwhelming account of Lings, still has something stronger than Lings. So, Strange isn't quite out of this game yet. Actually, Snute having a very difficult time using his bank on just Lings and Banelings, which makes sense. I mean, even with 4 bases in a macro hatchery, that's pure Ling is just hard to get your larva up for it. So I'm a little surprised you don't see anything going down. Like, he just uses all of his gas on Banelings, so no Hydro Center or anything like that.
It's also going to be all of his supply, but I mean, it's kind of a brute force tactic, right? Once again, we may see those drop overlords be effective if he wants to go back that direction. Alternatively, with speed, he's just got such a number, like the crazy number of Banelings available. It's going to be hard to actually kill without any sort of AoE. Like, there's a fake Colossus, a real one would be amazing. Storms would be great. But Blink Stalkers, well, they don't take bonus damage from the Banelings. They blink away. It leaves the sentries open and vulnerable.
Yes, that's absolutely true. There's no drop overloads this time, though, so Force Fields plus blinking away could really work out. A couple cannons as well. There, the Force Fields actually just completely block out everything. These are where the overlords are very, very useful.
I'm surprised he's not trying to put some Lings in the front line either to soak those hits. Just bleeding out the Banelings, of course, very expensive, very costly. Also got to be careful that Archon doesn't accidentally break the force fields.
Oh, yeah.
Clumsiness could cost him everything.
Yeah. Snute has gone for double upgrades and an infestation pit, so he is starting to advance here. And double upgraded Lings can be very, very powerful. So it's a little less about the Banelings, but obviously still a lot about the Banelings.
I really am wondering if he'll go back. I really would love to see him go back towards Overlords. It's going to be hard to pull off, but I think it's going to be effective if he can hit it. But at the same time, there's that numbers game as they start pushing in. Force Fields go down immediately. So scared. He's so scared, and I don't blame him.
Right? Like, I didn't think he was going to push him. That's why I wasn't ready to go for it. Ling counterattack, just dealt with a Mothership Core. Not too big of a deal, though she is mostly out of energy now. Could be a threat in the future. As you said, I think the Overlords are a pretty important part. I'm really surprised he's not trying again. Uh-oh. Oh, God. I don't know who that would have been. Oh, I don't know about that. Now you don't have a blink back. Oh, Jesus.
Well, the Banelings, again, they might not do bonus damage, but that splash damage is fantastic.
Oh, I think that everyone should know, don't blink into, like, 50 Banelings. Oh, my God. He's losing his third base as well. I think Snute has just done it. You just break through these cannons with the rest of the Banelings. There you go.
Pop them off. Even the Warpins aren't going to be that great. It's just Stalkers. That's where Link Floods work. Third base under attack while this goes on simultaneously. Snute wipes out that north side while this goes on. This is really getting out of hand, and unfortunately, this is where some of the production starts getting hurt. The fourth base somehow stands. I don't know how, but it does.
Yeah, that SimCity kind of hurt the Lings trying to get us around, but they still took out a lot of probes, and you know it's not mining, so. This base looks like it's going to go down, though. That's certainly enough Lings to get us around in that Nexus, and there's just not enough army for Strange to even try and defend against it. I mean, I thought Strange was broken once, he was able to recover. I think this time it really is it, though. Like, it's now 5 bases versus 3, and Strange kind of back to 0, but his army is just... It's not going to match up with this many Banelings, and I'm not so confident in his Sentry usage either. It's really... It's a combination. He's made a lot of mistakes here against Banelings. It's like he has all the right ideas, but then the execution hasn't quite been there for Strange. And Snute's just overpowered with mass Banelings. I mean, it's a little gross, to be honest, to watch a Protoss struggle so much against this.
It's also funny watching how hard it is for Snute to kill him too, right? Like this is like getting the actual executing blow to end the game. Like every time, Strange suddenly has another army, despite how many amazing baneling hits or full surrounds these Lings get. But once again, just crushes everything, and Snoot's gonna take game number 1.
Oh god. Baneling's pretty good unit, especially you can get like 50 of them. But that definitely was okay. So what's silly is I would just go into like what did Strange do wrong? Well, he could have waited for Archons, more Archons that is. He could have not blinked for that one engagement. That was like probably the game-ending engagement. He could have waited for Storms so that when he does Force Field, he can actually splash the Banelings a little bit. Like there's some things he could have done, but all I'm thinking of is that Snute versus Lilbao game where Lilbao had Archons and a lot of Immortals, and I think he even no, I don't think he split. I think that was the worst part, but still, he had a good composition against mass Banelings, and Snute just didn't care either. He still just like rolled over him. It was a game on Dusk Towers we cast like 3 weeks ago or something like that, but Bass Banelings, especially with drops, so silly.
I love this clips thing because I was able to get a clip of the action when that happened, but also some other people started tweeting at us. This is exactly what we want, guys. Talking about going forward, the clip option on Twitch is new and really cool, but also we're gonna have like contests and stuff focused around it in the near future. So shout out to those who are already getting ahead of the game and learning how to clip. It really, for those who don't know, while you're watching the stream live right now, there's a little thing. It looks like one of those movie like cut type clapper things. If you click on that, it'll just create like the last 15 seconds and the next 15 seconds or so for a clip that you can link pretty easily to anybody and everybody. A really nice way to highlight what's going on. So if you guys get really cool highlights, tweet them at us, please, because this is something where you're going to actually be able to win money, Amazon gift cards in the future for your clips. So get practicing with them now because I think they're really cool. I really like them.
Yeah. Let's get to the second game. On Dusk Towers, in the top right, up 1 thanks to Banelings. It is Liquid Snute.
And, of course, his opponent, he's not too shabby, but felt the burn of that last game. It's going to be the blue Protoss Strange. So I got to drive home the fact that, like, Snute won that game very much definitively, but it took him, like, 3 or 4 amazing engagements to actually finish Strange off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's tough. You know, all the Banelings die with the army, and Lings are just, you know, their weaknesses include Zealots, units behind a mineral line, and SimCity. So it did take a very long time for him to kill. But, yeah, I see a lot of people, because that delay is perfectly timed out, that we can talk about what just happened on the stream right now, in the future, oh my goodness, where that blink, everyone was saying that blink, like what a throw, and it is true, like that was the point where I think that Strange really threw, not pushing into the Bane Rain, which was also a mistake, but not as big of one as blinking forward like that, but that moment is like when you realize you made a mistake. Like,
it's unfortunately like the highlight it's unfortunate the highlight moment where you are like, yep, that was a mistake, it's probably over now, but I mean, let's be honest, Snoop had so much going for him that even like blink aside, if a fight was going down, it was still going to go down in Snoot's favor. The question was just how badly was it?
I agree. Strange really did not look very strong against the style, because he had some of the right ideas, like Blink Stalkers, not tons of charge lots. Okay, that's usually a pretty good start. Actually getting sentries when maybe you can skip a few more in a different type of PvZ. Eventually getting to Archons, but honestly not that many. It's just that his pushes, you know, he would scout Overlords and he would still push in. He scouted, well, he blinked into Banelings after knowing that Banelings were ready, and that was a bad idea. And I don't know if he can fix those mistakes between games, because if I'm Snute right now, I just watched the Protoss just absolutely collapse under that type of pressure. I would definitely go Banelings again. Unless there's a really specific reason not to, like Strange is going double Stargate or something like that, which he's not. Only a single one.
That also be so weird to see on Dust Towers. I mean, I can see you getting away with the Phoenix version of it, maybe, but not against somebody like Snute, who will be the first Zerg player to go Queen heavy in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll see. Maybe he just really had to be reminded of what Banelings can do, and he's just kicking himself because he actually knows what to do. I don't know how long Strange has been playing, to be honest. The last time we saw Banelings in the meta was 2011, 2012, against Protoss, that is. So it's possible he hasn't played that part, and he is, his weakness is this Baneling style. We'll certainly see in this game. if Snute goes for the Bane again, and he will scout it with Phoenix. So it was never a problem. That wasn't the problem for Strange. He always scouted it. He just didn't quite react to it very 100%.
Yeah. Well, either way, he's still again remarking on the way the game went, how long it took to end. Like, he's obviously a good player. You know, his series spoke for him. His ZvP hasn't looked super great when we saw him more recently, but I could see, like, first off, I hope Snute doesn't actually try the same thing again, because as cool as that was to watch, I don't think it's something that will work twice against somebody like Strange. But I would like to see this go to a game 3 between them. I'd love to see how this goes with more macro style and Dust Towers. But as I say that, again, the emphasis goes macro and Snute, almost synonymous nowadays. And it's not something you really want to let this, like, you just can't let this particular Team Liquid player get away with 5 bases. You're going to have a bad time.
I don't know. I really hope that Snute does it again. I don't know if we will, but I hope he does. I want to see Strange, if he does know how to deal with it, if he does deal with it better.
I have to comment on this. I'm sorry. So Botvinnik, another player that we've really admired watching recently, comments on the Snute Bane Rain, and he's like, "Justice reigns from above."
Yeah, it's pretty perfect, isn't it? I see at least one person mention Colossus, and that's, I actually want to talk about that, not because I'm going to call us out for being wrong or anything like that, although I think he is. It's that Strange hallucinated a Colossus, and I couldn't tell if he thought that was going to soak up enough damage as hallucination and help, if he thought that Snute would believe it was an actual Colossus and thus not attack into him.
Maybe a little bit of column A, maybe a little bit of column B, but
Colossus...
real Colossus...
Go ahead.
Go on.
No, you. No,
Madam,
you.
after you.
No, you. Okay, fine. I will. I did start it, after all. Real Colossus aren't the answer either. They get Bane Rain just as easily, and even if they aren't Bane Rain, they get surrounded just as easily too. Like, they're actually not, super great against Banelings.
So I actually agree with you, but let me play devil's advocate for a moment, right? Like, the Colossus 10% speed buff on the attack really is insignificant when it's like 1 or 2. But if Strange, for whatever weird reason, had like 5 Colossus, the argument could be made that might not have been bad for that situation. But obviously he didn't have it. Timing wouldn't permit 5 Colossus at that time, and all these other things. But unfortunately, with the way the game's played out, like, Disruptors are just better in most scenarios, and even better than that, just massive amounts of gateway units paired up with Immortals. So I think Storms would probably be the only hope in that weird scenario, but obviously it wasn't going to happen either. I do think, though, like, Colossus still have a role in this game. We're, of course, seeing them a lot more commonly versus Terran more than any other match. But the alternatives and the cost effectiveness of the other alternatives are just so much more appealing right now.
Yeah. Strange does not know about the Baneling Nest, by the way, so that could be a problem if he starts try warping in a bunch of charge lots. So the last note on the Colossus, if your force fields are good and they're not Bane Raining, Colossus can be very helpful. But usually if they see Colossus, they do just try and Bane Rain you anyway, and that's when they're suddenly just as fragile as the sentries.
We're saying this a little bit casually and colloquially, but like, 2 things are really important about the Bane Rain aspect, right? One is, like, a lot of people do not commonly actually do drop overlords on top of an army. Secondly, Strange is very much so gone for a decent amount of Phoenix this game, which would pick off those overlords before a fight comes down. So as much as it is fun to contemplate seeing a really awesome move like that again out of Snute, it's actually not A, that common for other players to do, but B, it's probably not going to work this game either.
That's true. I agree. I definitely agree with the Phoenix. Like, if they catch the Overlords in transit, there's just no reason, unless Queens are being paired up with it, which, they usually aren't. There's no reason to try it. They'd all have to unload anyway. But this is all just based off, like, again, like 2012 meta, where people did try and go Colossus, and they would be killed as well with the Bane Rain, actually, and then everything else started to figure themselves out. It's
funny because we're able to Bane Rain. Snute is one of the players who actually has been consistently doing that for a while. It's been a while since that. I can't remember what tournament it was for, but one of my favorite casts of all time was Snute versus Stardust. And Stardust was just beating Snute silly with these force fields. So Snute's like, screw it, YOLO, Bane Rain 1 game. And this is HOTS, when it's not common to do this at all. And he won off of it. Like, it's not a new thing for him at all. Yeah. But we got Storms coming down. We got a really nice looking army. I feel like even though there is this massive army for Snute, if Strange pushes out before Storms are done, he's going to have a really bad time, even with the force fields available to him.
And I'm really worried. Okay, I don't know if that was Strange's first sight on the Banelings. I think it was, because he, as I've been like noting, he hasn't
he's
seen
like,
the
nope.
Baneling nest.
He's going home.
He might have seen the upgrades on the Lings. That might have warned him a little bit. But yeah, definitely go home. Wait for the storm. Your charge outs aren't going to be very helpful for the most part. This is where you do wish you had like more Blink Stalkers to actually spread out. But certainly more Archons and more Storms. Without a Bane Rain, he can use those Force Fields effectively as long as he doesn't, you know, miss them.
I like this. The Warpin did bring Snute back home, giving Strange time to put down new pylons. And I was just thinking on that a moment ago, but you know what? Like, well, pylons are not the most great thing you'd want to have in this situation, despite the overcharge element. Putting them down to create Sim City could actually help a lot with the defense. And if you got to waste like 6 or 8 Banelings on a pylon before you even have to worry about getting to that army, that soaks up a lot more damage than the Zealot would for the same cost.
That is so many Banelings. That's 74 Banelings.
That
it's
is
at 69 right now. Heyo.
That is too many Banelings.
Well,
like I'm smelling elements of Hyun here from back in the day.
So many Banelings. We'll see how the Storms look. The Force Fields are going on first, though. The Storms actually going on first. He's not bothering with the Force Fields, and the Storms were pretty damn good.
But is there not? I mean, he took out 50
the Force Fields.
Storms, but
oh no!
Well,
the Force Fields. Yeah, they do donut.
But the problem is there's still so many Lings. Like, this is an endless supply of Lings that there's not going to stop. Bailey's still rolling in. 28 to still go off. Even though he killed something like 50 before the fight even began, it's still not enough. The Immortal's going to get surrounded. Get caught on the backside. No more Force Fields over there. Units in the main might be holding up, but that third base is sure to go down. Trying desperately to get pylons in play. It's not going to cut it. Bailey's just kind of still, ooh, what's up? What do we do? You're scared of us.
Looks like he's going to be able to clean up the army, but he's already lost his probes, he's lost his 4th base, and he's lost almost all of his army.
41 probes died in the main attack.
It's done. I guess the Warpsman's still alive, but this would have a very big job to do.
32 things following this up.
Oh, Jesus.
This style that is Snute, by the way, is hilarious for a lot of different reasons, but I want to, like, no discredit to Strange here. I would love to see something like Puck then play against this, because Puck has had really good anti-banlings the last few times we've catched. But this is insane. This is swarming, and this is out of hand. Dude, gonna take this series 2-0.
Where's my pylon? Just like that Protoss.
Oh, man. All right, well, that's going to send Snute forward here in the winner's bracket to another round. He'll be fighting the winner of Mana versus Shadone, and I think that might be a match worth waiting for. Snute versus Mana.
Because I would love to see a clinic be put on, basically, with how to deal against Snute's Banelings. And maybe Mana would know.
Wait, Mana actually is very specifically an anti-Snute player. It's funny that is considered. Alternatively, Showtime and Marine Lord are playing next, too. We could, like, get into that now, but then we might miss Mana and Snute. I don't know. I'm torn apart. You know what we need to do, though, is get the ads out of the way so we don't have to worry about missing anything. So we're going to go to commercial break while we figure out what we're casting next. Thank you guys for watching this morning. Stay tuned. We got more of the DreamHack Valencia qualifiers when we return.